Mr. Santa, on permitting, I mean, obviously this is an area we really want to get into in detail. You suggested a couple of pieces of legislation. I think before we get into a specific piece of legislation, tell us how your ideas will strike a balance so that we can have expedited, permitting, but at the same time ensure that the commitment to safety and environmental protections is locked in.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I want to get your views, and then I want to hear from the FERC people in response to sort of the bills and ideas you're for, how you'd strike that balance, and then get the thoughts of the FERC people. Mr. Wright.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity that a pipeline must get from the FERC, there also are a number of other permits that pipelines must get under federal law. For example, Clean Water Act, Coastal Zone Management Act, other statutes. And I think the interest that we have got is, while clearly the agencies that have been charged with responsibility for issuing those permits, there is clearly a purpose to that, there is a public interest to that. We were interested in having some certainty in terms of those agencies acting so that a pipeline will have some certainty on whether or not it can move forward. And quite frankly, if the agency chooses to deny the permit, if the agency chooses to grant it with conditions, to grant it just overall, all of that's fine, but we need the certainty so that if we've gotten the certificate from the FERC, that the pipeline within a reasonably foreseeable time period will have the ability to move forward. So I think that's the challenge. It's not one of taking authority away from anyone, of not respecting the other public interest considerations that are there under these other federal statutes, but getting the certainty that there will be action within some predictable time.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Chairman Wyden. FERC has done a very credible job, I would consider, in terms of citing infrastructure when needed and addressing market concerns. I think we have a process that's both efficient, it's effective, it's thorough, and it's environmentally responsible. And that is a very large concern because we deal with stakeholders that are not only end users, pipeline companies, but we deal with down to the landowner. We generally take between 12 and 18 months to site pipeline facilities. This is a great reduction in time from when I first started oh so many years ago. But it has been a responsible but quick, and I would say I would refer to Mr. Santa's point about 12,000 miles been cited. And overall, since the year 2000, we've cited over 16,000 miles of natural gas pipeline, over 1 trillion cubic feet of underground storage. Now, there are areas of the country that do present challenges, and New England is one of them. The geology does not support underground storage. That said, if you have significant storage, it's still going to have to come through a pipeline to New England. Also, as gas becomes more of a global commodity, New England had depended a large part on peak days in the winter on the Everett LNG import terminal. That is getting less and less cargoes as LNG gets diverted to elsewhere in the country. So what it points to eventually is more pipeline capacity necessary for New England to meet its needs. In my position, I'm a reactive representative of a reactive agency. I don't propose pipeline, but when those challenges come before us, we try to get to it and get the infrastructure sited as efficiently and quickly as possible.
You all aren't legislators, you aren't proposing bills, but at some point when Mr. Santa and others in industry make recommendations on permitting reform, we're going to have to walk through specifically how we strike the balance between the added economic benefits, which are quite clear, and ensuring that with respect to the safety, the public safety and the environmental issue, we've struck that balance. So we'll keep it, all of this discussion continues to be open. So further comments for myself and Senator Murkowski as we try to coordinate with colleagues on both sides of the aisle is very welcome. Now,